The prestigious Halen Academy has produced so many talented players over the years, from the top appearance maker in David O'Leary, to the legendary David Rocky Rocastle, to the hard man and iconic captain Tony Adams, all the way to Cesc Fabregas and Jack Wilshere. But this boy has to be up there with some of the best of them already, and he's only 22 years old. This is the story of Bukayo Saka and his steady rise to become one of, if not one of the best wingers in the world. Bukayo Saka was born on September 5th, 2001 in London, England to Nigerian parents. Growing up, Saka was always in love with football, joining Halen at the age of 7 years old. Trevor Bumstead said in the interview, quote, "Bukayo always stood out in the younger teams. He was a fantastic decision maker. He knew when to beat people and when to pass, as well as having brilliant physical attributes and a really good character and personality. Talented enough to play for England at all youth levels, impressing with 8 goals in 37 matches, with majority of them being as a winger or a left back. Even managing to contribute 16 goals and 15 assists in his time with the under-18s and under-23s. He made his Arsenal first team debut in November of 2018, coming off the bench against Polska Polotav as a second-half substitute for Aaron Ramsey. That season, Saka ended with 14 goals and 12 assists across both spells with the youth team and the first team. His displays at the youth level couldn't be ignored, and his time will surely come. Bukayo got his chance in the 2019-20 season, impressing with a goal and 2 assists against Frankfurt in the Europa League's group stage fixture, which saw the Gunners run out 3-0 winners. His strike was a lovely curled left foot effort we've become so accustomed to seeing from the Englishman. After scoring in only his second start for the Arsenal, Saka said, quote, "I'm so happy to score for Arsenal. It's a dream come true. I have been dreaming of this moment since I was a kid. I just want to keep working hard to feel this feeling again." His goal made him the youngest player to score in the European competition for Arsenal since Aaron Ramsey 2008. Arsenal manager at the time, Unai Emery, impressed with Starboy's performances, gave him his first Premier League start against Aston Villa in a 3-2 win for the Gunners. He even managed to start the very next game against Manchester United at Old Trafford, where his assist for the equaliser gave Arsenal a point away from home. After a string of poor results, Emery was sacked, and in came Mikel Arteta, whose job was made no easier after he was struck with injury crisis at left back. Seeing both Kolasinac and Kieran Tierney both go down with injuries, Arteta entrusted Bukayo with the job to fill that left back position. And boy did he show his quality. Not only proving his ability to use quick feet and pace to beat a player one-on-one, but showing high positional awareness, along with proving himself to be strong enough to cut it at the top level. He managed 5 goal contributions from left back, along with playing left wing, right wing, and even central midfield. He ended the season with 4 goals and 12 assists in 2,767 minutes of football for Arsenal, leading the club in assists over the club's record signing at the time, Nicolas Pepe, even helping them go on to win the FA Cup in Mikel Arteta's first 6 months with the club. That summer, the club decided to tie the youngster down to a new deal and handed him the number 7 shirt, showing trust and faith in that he was the man to carry the squad forward. 2020-2021 season started with fans begging to see more from the star boy. After being deployed in a number of positions, he grabbed his first goal of the season against Sheffield United. Even though he wasn't scoring week in, week out, his outstanding pace and close control, not to mention the way he would glide past players and read the game, made him an integral part in Arteta's Arsenal, going on to become the second youngest player in club history to reach 50 first-team appearances for Arsenal. He quickly became one of the standout Englishmen in this talented generation. He made his England debut in a 3-0 victory over Wales in October of 2020. Even though things were looking up for Bukayo, Arsenal were struggling in a tumultuous season that saw the club finish 8th, missing out on European football for the first time since the 1994-1995 season. The star boy managed 7 goals and 10 assists in over 3,600 minutes of football, winning Arsenal's Player of the Year and narrowly missing out on PFA Young Player of the Year behind Phil Foden. That summer, Saka was called up to help England at the 2020 Euros, his first major tournament. He went into the tournament on a high, scoring his first international goal against Austria in an international friendly, a goal which proved to be the winner. After not featuring in the first 2 games of the tournament, he took his chance well against the Czech Republic in the 3rd group stage match, where he started and won man of the match. He played in the round of 16 fixture versus Germany that saw the English advance with a 2-0 victory, where they would play Ukraine in the quarters. After breezing past Ukraine 4-0, they managed to scrape past Denmark in an extra time victory, which saw Bukayo's assist draw England level before Harry Kane's extra time penalty helped England reach the first major final in 55 years. A 1-1 final that saw it go all the way to penalties. Bukayo Saka, along with Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho, missed their penalties in the shootout. This left the nation crushed and other fans angered. The lads faced disgusting racial abuse online after the match. Addressing the abuse 4 days after, Saka wrote, quote, "It was an honor to be a part of an England squad that led by example. They are my brothers for life, and I'm grateful for everything I have learned from every one of the players and staff who worked so hard. To help that team reach our first final in 55 years, seeing my family in the crowd, knowing what they've given up to help me get there, that meant everything to me. There are no words to tell you how disappointed I was with the result and my penalty. I really believe we would win this for you. I'm sorry that we couldn't bring it home for you this year, but I promise that we will give everything we've got to make sure this generation knows how it feels to win." He was welcomed back to Arsenal with the hero's welcome. This only helped him to get back on track to put that miss behind him. The start of the 2021-2022 season started with Arsenal losing their first 3 Premier League fixtures, seeing the club rock bottom of the table, conceding 9 goals and scoring none. However, the Gunners bounced back with 3 straight Premier League wins after the international break, where Bukayo scored and assisted in a 3-1 victory against Tottenham at the Emirates. By the end of the year, Saka had 8 goal contributions, assisting against Leicester, scoring against Newcastle, and going on a 5-game stretch with at least a goal contribution, all against Southampton, West Ham, Leeds, Norwich, and Manchester City, respectively. He ended the season with 12 goals and 7 assists, now featuring as one of the star players for Arsenal as they narrowly missed out on the top 4 in a crushing collapse at the back end of the season. He was voted for Arsenal's Player of the Year again, while also being voted England's Men's Player of the Year for the first time in his career. The 2022-2023 season is where we saw Bukayo really grow into his own as a top-level player. This season, he played more minutes than ever, with 3,744, playing every single game for Arsenal except the League Cup third-round tie against Brighton. Consistently, Bukayo was producing at the highest level, going on a stretch from late August to March, contributing a goal contribution in all but 5 games in the Premier League, as Arsenal sat in pole position to win their first Premier League title in 19 years. Unfortunately, 3 consecutive draws to Liverpool, West Ham, and Southampton saw City close the gap on the Gunners. Next match, versus City at the Etihad, saw Arsenal titles hopes all but crushed as they lost 4-1, and City reclaimed pole position to the title, and so they did go on to win it. Bukayo ended the season with 15 goals and 11 assists, the most he scored in the season, and the second most assists in the season for his career. He tied for Arsenal's top scorer while also being the leading man for assists at the club. That summer saw the star boy get his first international hat-trick against North Macedonia in the 2024 European qualifiers match. He went on to win England's Men's Player of the Year for the 2nd consecutive season, scoring 7 goals in 10 international matches for the Three Lions. His final reward for an outstanding season was winning his first ever PFA Young Player of the Year award. At the beginning of this season, Bukayo has already continued his impressive displays, managing 7 goal contributions in 7 matches, scoring and assisting on his Champions League debut just to silence any doubt of him doing it on the big stage. Saka is now not only an established player in one of Europe's most impressive sides, but he is probably the central figure of that side, leading the way with countless top-notch performances and developing into one of, if not the best wingers in the Premier League, and hopefully Europe in the very near future.